For the second time in 2 years, a St. Paul Public School graduate is named a Rhodes Scholar. Superintendent Harvey and Mayor Kelly announced the book for this year's citywide book club. And a St. Paul couple donate their life savings to the school district. All this and more coming up on this edition of St. Paul Public Schools Today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Yusef M. Janey, and I'll be your host. Was that Ed McMahon driving up in a Publishers Clearinghouse prize van at Washington Middle School? No. It was Superintendent Harvey on her way to surprise teachers with grant money. Through the St. Paul Public Schools Foundation, an anonymous St. Paul couple donated $100,000 to the school district with the stipulation that it go directly to classroom teachers to create extraordinary learning opportunities for students. Teachers were invited to apply for grants and explain how they would use the money to challenge every child. Superintendent Harvey went on the road to surprise some of the winners with their awards. In all, 60 grants were awarded to teachers at 42 schools and programs. The awards ranged from $500 to buy calculators, books, and other educational supplies to $3,000 to fund field trips and transform classrooms into mini science museums and student publishing houses.
We got together and realized that what we wanted to do was start providing opportunity for kids to learn more about geology, but more specifically the geology of the St. Paul area. So we got together and said, what do we need? Well, we need a whole bunch of rock hammers so they can all go out and collect actual samples. We needed to find some locations that they could go to. We also set up some ideas about bus trips to take them out there and actually collect these materials and to experience the geology of St. Paul itself.
The school district estimates that more than 10,000 students will benefit from the donation and the awards program. A complete list of grant recipients is available at www.spps.org, the district's website. Cleveland Middle School students in the exhibit design group learned science, art, and social studies through the process of constructing scale models similar to those found in science museums. Let's take a closer look at this unique program.
The Edmund Fitzgerald lays wreck deep in Lake Superior. Elsewhere in the room, a mountain range complete with a Hmong village. All these three-dimensional projects are built to scale with incredible attention to detail.
Over the past 7 years, this is our 8th year, we've had projects from airplanes to birds to railroad to the Stillwater Bridge. It's pretty much everything under the sun, too. It's an interdisciplinary program where we're dealing with social studies, science, and art. And it's all wrapped into a fabrication format. So the idea is that they get to pick their own topic.
Sue Herr worked on an exhibit which shows sedimentary rock layers.
The layers on the rock, it shows like how old the rock is and stuff like that. So,
with the emphasis on process, we're hoping that what we teach here can apply to anything they go through high school and college. What's really nice for us is that we have an after-school program. Caillou worked for me for 4 years. She's now in college. And her coming back during the school day to help out really says a lot to the kids who can see that, hey, I can do this.
I graduated from Cleveland and then went to Como Park Senior High, and then that's when I start coming back. These students, they do research and I help them with correcting the papers.
I'm making this little house right here that controls the bridge that it's supposed to go up. It's called vertical lift bridge. This is the tower. It's right here. This is where the counterweight is, right here. And when the bridge is lifted up, the counterweight right here pulls it, so it goes up, and the boats will get a chance to go through.
It begins to put application to what they're learning in their separate classes. Why do I have to know fractions? Why do I have to know math? Why do I have to be able to sketch? Why do I have to be able to draw accurately? And one of the main things about sizing is because a lot of the kids will say, I can't draw, I'm not an artist. But if we use a grid and we relate it back to pre-computer times, Da Vinci, they all know that, we know that it works in the computer, but it gives them observational. That's what I call spatial measurement. We're applying what they're doing in the other classes. We're bringing it all together, trying to have it make sense, real format, definitive deadlines.
For the second year in a row, a St. Paul Public School graduate has been awarded a prestigious Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford University in England. Just 1 year after Highland Park graduate Catherine Puzicki was named a Rhodes Scholar, Central High School graduate Matthew Landremen has been named one of 32 American students to receive the scholarship this year. In January, Central High School senior Emily Eaton interviewed Matthew about his future.
What are you planning on doing with your knowledge of physics and mathematics after you're all done with school and college?
Well, at the moment, what seems like the best option is to just go into academia, work as a professor, and generally you can do some scientific research and some teaching, and usually you can find a balance between those two. That's how most physics professors operate these days. And I really like the idea of going to that profession because essentially you get paid to learn. And I really enjoy teaching and interacting with students and helping others see what I think is really fascinating about physics. And I think for those reasons, teaching and research is it's a fantastic world that you can get paid to do something like that. I feel really lucky.
Did you ever think that you would get a Rhodes Scholarship or see yourself doing that any time in your life?
I hadn't really heard about it. I suppose most people seem to sort of be mildly aware of the Rhodes Scholarships. The Rhodes Scholarship is a program that's 100 years old this year, and it awards 32 Americans each year a all expenses paid trip to study at Oxford University in England for 2 or 3 years, and you can work towards any of their degree programs you want, any department, any subject. The scholarship committee looks for well-rounded scholars, so people whose sort of foremost interest is academics, but at the same time, people who don't just live in their ivory tower, people who've shown leadership and work with community service, athletics, that sort of thing. I felt Central really prepared me well. They always try to scare you that each level of schooling is meant to prepare you for this next level that's really going to be a challenge. But I really, Swarthmore is certainly challenging, but I never felt out of my league. I think Central should really be proud of itself for even though it's an inner city public school, I really felt like the education I got here was as good as a lot of the students I met at college who'd gone to expensive private boarding schools. The day that they awarded the scholarships, you think to yourself, there's absolutely no way. There's just so many other fascinating people that are in this competition with you. There's absolutely no way they'd pick me. What do I have? So it's always it's totally a shock.
What advice would you give to students that would like to follow in your footsteps, like particularly to incoming freshmen into high school? What advice would you give to them?
In high school and college, so many doors are open to you, and you can try everything and see what you like, and that's really one of the parts that make those periods in your life really fun. My senior year, I was in the senior play. I guess it wasn't the senior play, but the
Musical or play?
Yeah, it was You Can't Take It With You, and 2 of my friends were the directors, and that was a really wonderful experience. So I don't know if I'll ever be on stage again acting like I did here at Central, but I'm really glad that I tried it. I think that there are things to take away from that experience that'll stick with me forever. So.
In 1963, the Watsons went to Birmingham. This year, they're coming to St. Paul. St. Paul Public Schools Superintendent Patricia Harvey and Mayor Randy Kelly announced that the Watsons Go to Birmingham by Christopher Paul Curtis is the selection for St. Paul Reads One Book for 2003, the city's annual citywide book club. The goal of St. Paul Reads One Book is to promote literacy and to unify our increasingly diverse city through the common experience of reading the same book.
The reason why this is such an important process for the city is because it gives our kids the opportunity to take a look at the adults in their lives and see what they think about a common reading experience. So I'm excited. I know the mayor is excited, and I'm sure we're going to have a very rigorous conversation as we move on to the early spring of next year.
Well, what I like is Pat and I truly believe that a team that reads together succeeds together.
That's right.
And I think that's what we want to try to encourage people in St. Paul to do, is to for adults to read, for their children and their grandchildren to see them read, to encourage them to read, and the quality of our life will be better if people become better readers and exercise that imagination.
The Watsons combines the fictional account of an African-American family's trip from Flint, Michigan to Birmingham, Alabama, with the factual events surrounding racial tensions during the summer of 1963. The story is narrated by a 10-year-old boy who describes events leading up to the Civil Rights Movement. An epilogue in the book explains the Civil Rights Movement, describes many of its heroes, and challenges readers to become heroes themselves by ensuring that all people are treated fairly and equitably. Last year, the superintendent and mayor chose John F. Kennedy's 1957 Pulitzer Prize-winning Profiles in Courage as the book club's inaugural selection. Many of the activities that made St. Paul Reads One Book popular with students and citizens last year will return this year, including a Who's Your Hero essay contest, book discussions, events at schools and libraries, and a visit by the author in May. Curtis's visit will be funded by a Cultural Star Grant from the City of St. Paul to the Archie Givens Foundation for African American Literature. Curtis will visit on May 16th and participate in a free public event at the Cedar Cultural Exchange on May 17th. Other partners include the Pioneer Press, Minnesota Public Radio, and the St. Paul Public Library. If you don't have your copy of the book yet, be sure to pick one up the next time you're at a library or bookstore so you can read along with St. Paul students during February, which is I Love to Read Month and the 78th observance of Black or African American History Month. 3 Achievement Plus community schools operating in St. Paul serve more than 1,400 students and families. These schools combine the resources of both public and private service organizations and resources with the school community to raise achievement for all students.
Welcome to Achievement Plus, a unique education initiative that is changing the lives of students and families in St. Paul. Achievement Plus community schools are the foundation of a comprehensive urban education reform model that integrates the school community, families, and the resources of public and private service organizations to ensure academic achievement for all students. The effort began with the involvement of the St. Paul Public Schools, Ramsey County, the City of St. Paul, and the Amherst H. Wilder Foundation. The state of Minnesota, along with many foundations and corporate funders, have provided significant financial support for the initiative. Through Achievement Plus, substantial physical renovations and expansions were completed at Monroe and Dayton's Bluff Achievement Plus elementary schools. The 2000-2001 school year began with a major highlight in the history of the Achievement Plus initiative, the opening of John A. Johnson Achievement Plus Elementary School. Achievement Plus completely renovated a turn-of-the-century former high school into a stellar educational campus featuring a 50,000-square-foot school and a state-of-the-art YMCA facility where students get their physical education.
Where else but in St. Paul could you really rally so many different agencies, so many different groups to really make state-of-the-art community schools in such short order? We're in the urban core. For example, we have a state-of-the-art largest YMCA that's built right into a school that has staff sharing both facilities, the school and the YMCA together. We have private investors raising money to help support the housing needs of the kids at the school. And we have economic development going on with neighborhood groups.
Within the school, there are designated places where teacher training takes place without disturbing the classroom. Here, the training staff can give visiting teacher groups an overview of the standards-based education program. Teachers can view classrooms to observe teaching in action and then back into training rooms for follow-up discussion. Successful academic strategies learned from all 3 Achievement Plus schools are beginning to be implemented throughout the district.
Achievement Plus is central to our strategic plans. For instance, we started this partnership with 3 schools, and the intention was to figure out how we could replicate the efforts there. And we have begun to figure that out. And so thus far, we have been able to expand what we're learning now in a systemic way, so that we now have 23 schools that are coming together around the instructional strategies that we have honed with the 3 Achievement Plus schools.
Standards-based education is at the heart of the Achievement Plus initiative. It is an authentic way of teaching students to demonstrate understanding of the skills and concepts they are being taught, to apply what they are learning to real-life situations, and to embrace their own educational experiences as a fulfilling part of their development.
I come from New York, where we didn't have Achievement Plus schools out there. It was just regular curriculum. And I mean, I've seen a really big positive change in my son out here. He's a 4th grader. He enjoys the reading. He enjoys the structure that they have. I've seen a lot of positive changes in him.
A core feature of Achievement Plus is that the schools are a hub for the community and an access point for educational and social services. Thanks to strong partnerships Achievement Plus has formed with dozens of public and private service organizations, schools help meet the health and wellness needs of students and families. Kindergarten students can get all of their required immunizations at school through the services of the nurse practitioner. Physicals are provided to all incoming kindergartners who need them. The Wilder Foundation provides full-time therapists and outreach workers who work with students at all 3 sites by providing support groups and individual counseling. Dental screenings are offered to all students, and there's even a full dental clinic at Dayton's Bluff, with plans underway for another full clinic at Johnson.
We have a dental office where a dentist comes in twice a week. We have a nurse practitioner that can prescribe medication and give immunization. We give a parent nor a child no excuse not to come to school. When you look at a school, this is as well-rounded a school as you can get.
Family resource centers are available at all 3 schools and focus on the needs of the family.
We try to do things like eliminate the barriers for families that might get in the way of education. So we offer housing assistance. We help them with getting into shelters if they need to, food, clothing, any barrier that might get in the way of educating their student. We try to help that family overcome that barrier so they can concentrate on the academics of their students.
Beyond addressing health and wellness issues, Achievement Plus support extends into the classroom.
I really feel like there are other things that Achievement Plus has done that has really supported teachers. And I think also the training that we've been able to do in Writer's Workshop. And that kind of support has definitely benefited teachers and helped the work that we do in the classroom.
Extended learning programs have been in place at Achievement Plus schools since the inception of the initiative. In addition to providing additional opportunities for tutoring and academic instruction, extended learning programs provide a wealth of enrichment activities that let students engage in hands-on learning. Students participate in before and after school activities that directly link to the standards-based instruction of the traditional school day. Extended learning programs place a heightened focus on students who need extra help.
The difference that I see is both in their academics, because they're able to take those skills that we're doing in the afternoon and apply them during the day. And then one of the huge differences is just in having that time to build relationships with kids. They were 4 kids that I had behavior problems with, and you still do sometimes, but I can just feel that because of that relationship that we've been able to build during that time and the success that they feel during that time, it carries over into the school day every day. I've seen a huge difference in those students.
Strong leadership is key to the success of Achievement Plus.
You know, this thing only works and will only work in the future if you have dedicated leadership to it, from all sectors, really, the foundation, the public sector, the school system. And we are really fortunate that we have Pat Harvey, who's adopted this as part of her educational reform initiative. You know, we couldn't be luckier there. And as importantly, that she's put in place Maria Lamb, who has proven that this can happen in other communities across the country. So we're poised to really transform urban education in this community.
The Achievement Plus work is really just beginning in St. Paul, because the whole idea about transforming schools and transforming systems, it requires deep change. So the challenge is, how do we keep children engaged in the schools? How do we provide opportunities for the students? And how do we keep a neighborhood moving together and opening the schools all day long so families and children can participate? There are 3 neighborhood schools. They're really showing growth for students, all students. They really come together using best practices, and we know that it's working for kids and for families.
A safe and healthy school is, I believe, the most powerful force that a neighborhood can have. And our Achievement Plus schools are making a profound difference in the lives of families throughout St. Paul. They're helping to stabilize the communities in which they operate by serving as support nets for some of our families who need it most, providing resources for employment, for housing, childcare, and transportation. St. Paul is truly fortunate to have such centers of excellence. These schools truly represent innovative teaching by linking private and public resources in a program that helps our children succeed in school by helping their families through diverse services. They are truly making our dream of a world-class education in St. Paul a reality. I believe in them and have worked hard as a partner to help make them showcases of educational success.
St. Paul Public Schools welcomed Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty to John A. Johnson Achievement Plus Elementary School recently, where Pawlenty read The Paper Dragon to first graders in the school's media center. The book is the school's book club selection for January.
To remind everyone of the strongest thing in the world. He painted this nice dragon, and all of the stuff he painted just as a reminder of what happened with Soy Jen the dragon, and the lesson that he learned about love being really strong and other people's love being really important. And that's the end of the story. What do you think?
Following the reading, Pawlenty answered questions before touring the school with the superintendent, Principal Frank Feinberg, the Wilder Foundation President Tom Kingston, and others from the district.
Thank you.
Must be proud to have Achievement Plus kind of raised up as a nice model for everybody else.
That's right.
Teachers and for students.
Thanks for watching this edition of St. Paul Public Schools Today. I'm Yusef M. James.